talking about rock cocaine tonight. John Pope, former rock cocaine user, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Your impressions from what we've talked about here so far tonight.
Well, you know, you say you need to lock everybody up that sells the coke, but what about the people that are doing it, that are reaching out for help? I was arrested for stealing money from my boss. I went to court and I asked the judge, I said, Your Honor, you know, I need help right now. You know what the judge told me? He goes, you're not here for that. So I said, Your Honor, if I don't get help, I'm going to go right out on the street, and who knows, I might rob a store. And what did I do? I robbed 2 stores. I mean, it's time for the judicial system, when people are reaching out for help, to give them the help they need.
You want to react to that, Chuck, at all? I mean,
20 years in the business, and I've known a lot of people that needed that help. I'm happy to say I've been able to direct some of them in that direction, even before we intervened and arrested them. We played that option, and I think it is a viable one. There are treatment programs that do work, and we should invest in them.
Well, you know, there are Narcotics Anonymous and a lot of that, but, you know, behavior is what leads people to doing drugs. You know, it's not just, you don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a coke addict. Because, you know, I did it once a week. And at first I didn't think I was a coke addict, but then I was spending $300 and $400. And as far as being able to buy it in Seattle, I could drive right up in many bars right on the side of the road and get it anywhere I wanted. So I think it's time the police start, you know, looking around at where everybody can get it, because it's available anywhere in this city. It's time they, you know, start busting people on the streets, not just the houses.
Right.
Ken, I'm with the NAACP. I'm the president, and we thought that the drug problem was so serious that we started a task force. And our task force is trying to let the community realize that they must become involved. I hear a lot of people sitting here complaining, but they don't get involved in the process. How many of you have been down to a budget meeting when you tell the mayor, I want some money to go for drugs, I want money to go for drug rehabilitation houses? That's where the decisions are made, and you're absent. You must first understand the system. Then you know what the sergeant's talking about, his hands tied, and then you must do something to change that citizen. When we get ready to vote, Seattle is one of the poorest voting cities in the nation. And believe it or not, the ballot is very important because it follows you from the cradle to the grave. You're not born until you get a birth certificate, you're not dead until you get a death certificate. And that's done by politics, so we've got to get involved.
Sure.
Well, you know, you had the 2 ladies there that said that, you know, put drug dealers and drug users in prison for 5 years. Well, why don't they look under their nose at their own little kids, you know, because that's where it's happening. That's where it's starting, right in their own kitchens and bedrooms and living rooms.
Right.
You know, that's where it should be dealt with, right in the beginning, right there.
But they're saying, if you put the guy away who's selling to my kids, I won't have to worry so much about them.
But who makes it possible for that guy to sell it? It's the users, it's the kids, it's the people growing up that are making that guy.
Ken, I think he's right. I think the parents and the teachers don't know as much about drugs as the kids do. And we've got to educate ourselves on this issue. The teachers have got to realize the marijuana today is 8 times more powerful than 10 years ago, and the cocaine 4 times more powerful, and not just say don't do it. There's got to be a knowledge of the pharmacology, what happens inside the body. Then you become more convincing as parents.
Okay, Mark, what do you think in terms of remedies here?
I think along the same lines. I think it's Seattle, the citizens of Seattle have made Seattle a much safer place to drive because they stigmatize drinking and driving. They can also stigmatize using drugs so that when people are getting high, they don't want to deal with it.
There's a mandatory minimum that works. Nationally, what's happened? People that get drunk on the highways lose their license and go to jails, and highway deaths are down 25%.
Chuck, your final thoughts?
This is one cop that doesn't want to wad up the Constitution and toss it out the window on the way to the Rock House, in the sense that there's always this concern. It's one of the great smoke screens of the 20th century that our hands are tied. It's hogwash. We simply opt out too many times. There are many things that cops can do and more things that we should do, certainly within the confines of constitutional law and direction from the courts.
What could, go ahead. What should people be doing very quickly to make your job easier in terms of your working within a department that you say is too bureaucratic to respond quickly?
Mr. Steele said it pretty well. Get to that city council and let them know you're concerned. Boy, when you start ringing that bell, we get response, we get reaction.
You think that would be enough?
I think it's
a beginning. Or it would be a start?
I think it's a test of their commitment and a good direction to go with it.
All right, a lot has come out during the course of this past hour. It is obvious that people are very scared and angry about what is happening in neighborhoods in their community regarding rock cocaine. And they have every reason to be scared, because I think it has been made clear that this whole rock cocaine issue is very frightening. But I think perhaps the more important residue that came out here tonight is people's frustration. The feeling that they have lost the power and control over what goes on in their lives. And I don't think we want to end this program on that note. So maybe one of the things we can do here, we talked about this, maybe one of the things we could do is go get a pencil and paper and sit down and say, I want a crackdown on crack. Send us those letters or those postcards or whatever it is. Send it to Town Meeting, KOMO 104th Avenue North, Seattle 98109. We will take all of those letters and all of those postcards and we'll send them to Olympia, along with a copy of this program. And maybe that'll get the lawmakers started. But the fact of the matter is, in order to get action, first requires some action of us. So what do you think? We go for it or not? We will take a quick break. When we come back, I'll tell you what we've got coming up on next week's show. Stay with us.